Here's a truck that drives through your neighborhood once a week, and instead of hauling anything away, it does something almost nobody thinks about. It cleans the empty bins sitting at the end of your driveway, the one that spent the last 7 days marinating in garbage juice under the summer sun. And the person driving that truck is often making more money per hour than most people with office jobs, cleaning something you didn't even know could be a business. This is the economics of owning a trash can cleaning business, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why one of the most overlooked, faintly ridiculous-sounding industries in America is quietly making some of its owners genuinely wealthy. Let's get the obvious question out of the way first, because it's the one everyone asks the moment they hear about this business. Do people actually pay someone to clean their trash cans? The answer, somewhat surprisingly, is yes, and not just a handful of eccentric homeowners either. This is a real, growing service industry with thousands of operators across the country, built entirely around a problem most people simply learn to live with. Garbage bins get disgusting, they smell terrible, they attract flies and maggots in warmer months, and almost nobody wants to be the one crouching over their own bin with a hose and a scrub brush trying to fix it. That combination of universal disgust and universal avoidance is, in a strange way, the entire foundation this business is built on. So let's talk about what it actually takes to get started, because this is one of the more accessible businesses we've covered in this series. At the most basic level, you need a specialized trailer or truck-mounted system with a high-pressure water tank, a heating element to produce hot water, and a containment system that captures and filters wastewater, so you're not just spraying garbage runoff onto the street, which in most areas is actually illegal. A basic entry-level system can be built or purchased for somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000, while a more advanced, professional-grade rig with multiple bin cleaning stations and a larger water tank can run anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. Compare that to almost any other service business requiring specialized equipment, and this sits on the genuinely affordable end of the spectrum. Now, here's where the economics start to get interesting, because the actual service itself is remarkably efficient once you understand how it works. A trash can cleaning truck typically pulls up to a residential neighborhood and, using a robotic arm or a manual hose and brush system, lifts each customer's bin, cleans the interior with high-pressure hot water and sometimes a biodegradable sanitizing solution, and sets it back down, all in roughly 2 to 5 minutes per bin. That speed matters enormously, because it means a single truck can realistically service somewhere between 50 and 150 homes in a single day, depending on how tightly clustered the neighborhood is and how efficient the route is.
So, what does a business like this actually charge, and what does that translate into? Most trash can cleaning services operate on a subscription model, charging somewhere between $8 and $20 per bin per cleaning, with most customers signing up for monthly or bi-monthly service rather than a one-time clean. Do the math on that. If a single truck services 100 homes in a day at an average of $12 per bin, that's $1,200 in a single day of work. Multiply that by 4 or 5 days a week, and a single truck can generate somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year in revenue, which is a genuinely staggering number for a business built around cleaning something most people consider borderline worthless. But just like every business in this series, revenue on its own doesn't tell the whole story, and this is exactly where the real economics of trash can cleaning reveal themselves. The ongoing cost of actually delivering this service is remarkably low. Water costs are minimal, typically just a few cents per bin once you account for the water used and reheated throughout the day. Cleaning solution, if used, adds only a small additional cost per bin. Fuel for the truck and equipment maintenance are the largest recurring expenses, but even those tend to be modest compared to the revenue being generated, because unlike a dump truck or a carpet cleaning van, this equipment isn't hauling heavy loads or working under extreme mechanical stress. Once you account for all of these costs, most established operators report profit margins somewhere between 50 and 70% of gross revenue, which is an extraordinarily high margin for any kind of service business, let alone one requiring so little specialized skill or equipment. This is the point in the video where you're probably wondering why every single person in America isn't already running one of these trucks. And that's a fair question, because on paper, this looks almost too good to be true. The honest answer is that the real challenge in this business isn't the cleaning itself, it's customer acquisition, and more specifically, convincing a skeptical homeowner that paying a recurring monthly fee to clean their trash can is actually worth it when they've spent their entire life simply ignoring the problem or occasionally hosing it out themselves for free. This is where the psychology of this business becomes genuinely important, and it's exactly why successful operators tend to think less like a cleaning company and more like a subscription marketing company that happens to clean trash cans. The pitch that actually works isn't about cleanliness alone, it's about convenience, about eliminating a genuinely unpleasant chore nobody wants to do, and increasingly about hygiene and pest control, since dirty bins are a documented attractant for flies, maggots, rodents, and the bacteria that come along with them. Operators who successfully frame this as protecting their family's health and eliminating a disgusting weekly chore tend to convert customers at a meaningfully higher rate than operators who simply pitch it as a nice-to-have cleaning service.
Neighborhood density matters enormously here too, arguably more than in almost any other service business we've covered. Because the actual cleaning takes only a few minutes per bin, the real cost driver in this business is drive time between customers. A route with 50 tightly clustered homes in a single subdivision is dramatically more profitable than 50 homes scattered across an entire city, because the truck spends its time actually cleaning bins instead of driving between them. This is exactly why successful operators obsess over neighborhood-by-neighborhood market penetration, often running aggressive introductory pricing or free first cleanings specifically targeted at getting a critical mass of customers within a single subdivision. Because once you have 30 or 40 houses on the same street signed up, that route becomes remarkably efficient and remarkably profitable. There's also a seasonal rhythm to this business that's worth understanding, because it affects both revenue and the sales pitch itself. Demand and urgency spike considerably during warmer months, when bins smell worse, flies become a genuine problem, and the unpleasantness of a dirty trash can becomes impossible to ignore. Many operators see a meaningful portion of their new customer signups concentrated in spring and summer, while winter months, particularly in colder climates, can see both softer demand and genuine operational challenges, since hot water systems and outdoor equipment don't always perform well in freezing temperatures. Smart operators plan around this rhythm, front-loading marketing efforts before the summer rush and sometimes offering discounted off-season rates specifically to keep trucks working and revenue flowing through the slower months. So how does this business actually scale, and where does the real money end up being made? Much like several other businesses in this series, the answer lies in trucks and territory. A single owner-operator running one truck can realistically build a comfortable six-figure income once their route is full, working roughly 4 to 5 days a week. But the real wealth in this industry comes from adding trucks and expanding into new neighborhoods and cities, because the fundamental unit economics, remember that 50 to 70% margin, remain remarkably consistent as the business scales. A second truck doesn't just add revenue, it adds revenue at nearly the same extraordinary margin as the first one, assuming the owner can find and train a driver willing to do genuinely unglamorous, if surprisingly well-paying, work. Operators who've built multi-truck operations, sometimes running 5, 10, or more trucks across multiple cities, are looking at businesses generating well over $1 million a year in revenue, with the kind of margins that would make almost any traditional small business owner deeply envious. Some of the most successful operators in this space have even moved into offering franchise opportunities, essentially selling their proven business model, branding, and operational playbook to new operators in different markets, which introduces an entirely additional revenue stream on top of the actual bin cleaning itself.
Of course, this business isn't without its own real risks and challenges, and understanding them is exactly what separates operators who build something sustainable from the ones who quietly burn out. Customer retention, unlike a one-time service, requires genuinely consistent quality and reliability, because a missed cleaning day or a bin that isn't actually clean can quickly lead to cancellations in a business built entirely on recurring subscription revenue.
Equipment reliability matters enormously too, since a truck breaking down doesn't just cost repair money, it means an entire day of missed subscription services across potentially 100 customers, all of whom are paying for consistent, reliable service. And there's a genuine, if often underestimated, physical toll to this work, spending entire days operating equipment, dealing with genuinely unpleasant smells and occasionally unsanitary conditions, and doing this outdoors regardless of weather. So what actually separates the operator running one modestly successful truck from the one who's built a multi-truck regional operation worth millions? It rarely comes down to the equipment itself, since most operators are eventually using fairly similar systems. It comes down to marketing and neighborhood penetration, understanding that the real skill in this business isn't cleaning trash cans, it's convincing entire streets and subdivisions, one household at a time, that this recurring service is worth paying for. It comes down to operational discipline, treating routes with the same efficiency obsession a logistics company would, minimizing drive time and maximizing bins cleaned per hour. And it comes down to genuinely treating this as a real, scalable business from the beginning, rather than a strange, one-truck side hustle that happened to work out. So, does owning a trash can cleaning business actually make financial sense? For someone willing to do genuinely unglamorous physical work, master the art of local neighborhood marketing, and build density within specific areas rather than spreading thin across an entire city, the answer is a resounding yes, and the relatively low barrier to entry makes this one of the more accessible paths toward a genuinely high-margin business in this entire series. For someone hoping to build something larger, the ceiling is remarkably high, built on a problem that will never go away. Because as long as people generate garbage and nobody particularly wants to clean the bin it sits in themselves, there's going to be room for someone willing to do that job professionally and get paid extremely well for it. Maybe that's the real lesson hiding underneath all these numbers, and honestly, underneath all the smell too. This industry sounds like a joke the first time you hear about it, and there's a certain dark comedy in the fact that scrubbing out garbage cans can be more profitable per hour than plenty of businesses people consider far more respectable. But underneath the surface-level absurdity sits a genuinely serious business model, one built on solving a problem millions of people have quietly hated dealing with their entire lives, and being willing to solve it for them one disgusting bin at a time.